Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week, I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect, not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. Not every parent feels shame about the fact that their adult child or children aren't talking to them, but many do experience shame, and it adds weight to the constant pain of an unwanted estrangement. One of our members in the Reconnection Club wrote about shame in our forums a few months ago. I thought what they wrote was so articulate and relatable that I asked if I could share their words with other parents who might be feeling something similar. This generous member didn't hesitate to grant permission, and so I have the privilege to share with you in this episode some of the wisdom of this member. Here's what they wrote, and it's a little bit abridged, but none of their words have been changed. I discovered recently that what I am missing the most in my daily life is not my estranged adult child's presence, but the idea they are in my life, so I can feel good about myself, can have a life of my own, the courage to go out there and have fun and do interesting things, and enjoy them, meet new people, which goes along with doing new things. And here they list a few things that they're interested in doing. I noticed that I am longing for these things, but am postponing them. Why? I feel a deep, deep shame. Or I could also say, I felt a deep shame, because when I said it out loud to myself, I had this eureka moment. I feel so ashamed, as if I gave myself permission to feel it. It gave me some space and compassion instantly. I was having the feeling and not being it. Huge difference, especially when it comes to shame, I have noticed. And I'll just step back for a second to underline that. What this member is describing is something I call constructive wallowing, which is just embracing a negative feeling instead of running from it. It's a simple but powerful practice, and this member is obviously good at it. So I'm very glad they mentioned giving themselves permission to feel what they were feeling. They go on to say, the estrangement triggered a deep fear that people will think there is something so very wrong with me that they would not want anything to do with me. My whole life I was afraid of that, but by working hard to make sure there wasn't anything to be ashamed about, I could master this fear. Mastering an unwanted estrangement is a different thing. I noticed that I was waiting for my adult child to come back so I would not have to feel ashamed anymore and could present myself again to the world, and that I was living as if I had to depend on that before I could have a nice life again. I am so glad that this became clear to me the past week, because this unconscious belief or conviction really adds to my suffering. It is a sort of denial that this wasn't my life now, that there will be a life without an estranged child soon enough. When making new acquaintances or friends, I am not comfortable at hiding such an important thing as having an estranged child. That is not how I would like to be connected to people. When it will come up in a conversation after a while, I would like to be open about it. Otherwise, I would feel lonely in company. So this is me now, entering the world with the stigma of an estranged adult child, and work on what I have control over, accepting what it is like for me to be in this situation. I will never know how people will respond. They can be understanding, disapproving, too nosy, critical, or they could share a story like mine of their own. By being open about it, I can also contribute to create more awareness and make being estranged less of a taboo. I think that is a nice thought. I do too. That is a very nice thought, that this member's courage in sharing their experience of estrangement could create more room for everyone to share their stories and connect with each other, knowing that estrangement by an adult child can happen to anyone. This member has an optimistic but also a realistic outlook, it seems to me. People might choose to judge, but ultimately there's only one judge that matters. The member asserts, I have been standing in the corner of the classroom with my face towards the wall the past 18 months, waiting until the teacher would invite me to join again. But there is no teacher to say my punishment is over. There is only me. I can stop waiting. The crime, the shame, and the punishment are all happening inside my head. There is a lot more to this wonderful post, but I mainly wanted to share with you how another parent is overcoming the shame of being estranged. As usual, awareness takes center stage in the process. This member is paying compassionate attention to their own inner world as well as the outer one, so they were able to notice that shame was holding them back. And now they're working on gradually separating themselves from that shame through continued loving attention. I'll say to you what I said to this person. This post is a good example of why we examine our own experience. It's not so we can shame ourselves or do better. On the contrary, it's to free ourselves from baseless shame. I'm deeply grateful to this highly engaged member for all their posts in the Reconnection Club forums and for allowing me to share their wisdom on this podcast. Thank you. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out reconnectionclub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at reconnectionclub.com.